Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the VHS podcast. Tonight's episode, work horror stories. Chances are you probably have a job. You probably hate it. You probably just think it's okay. But regardless of what you think of your job, I'm sure there is some horror story that you can probably think of, and that's going to be the subject of tonight's episode. And I'm being joined by Lord Heroicus, and Venom unfortunately couldn't be here, so we are instead joined by Detail. If you guys wanted to introduce yourselves.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Detail. Welcome to the DHS podcast, Department of Homeland Security.
Nice.
All right. Who
wants to kick this shit off?
I don't
All
care.
right. I suppose we should flip a coin.
I'll do it. Actually, you know what? No, I won't. Let me drink a little bit more first.
All right. Get the old
it makes it fun. We'll go. How about this? How, like, scale of 1 to 10, how horror story are yours? Because mine involve, like, bodily injury and, like, near death and shit.
Okay, yeah.
I work in manufacturing.
Okay,
so.
we'll save yours for last then. The best for last, I mean.
I don't have that in any of my stories. All I have is just really shitty coworkers or management.
But mine are mostly just like, management issues and some other literal, well, I don't want to spoil the fun ahead of time, but yeah. I guess in that case, Heroicus, if you want to go first.
All right, I'll let you guys pick because I have titles for each of my 3 stories. Give me a second. So, I have Hospital Hell, Worst Theater Ever, and the worst PC repair of all time.
Oh.
Third one doesn't involve me, does it?
No. I didn't even know you. I didn't know anybody in this voice call during the PC one because
let's start with the PC repair because nothing grinds my gears like shitty IT departments.
Oh, it wasn't a department. This was like
shitty IT in general.
Okay, so back when I worked at my first job at a movie theater, and I mentioned this in 2 episodes ago, whatever. My coworker, who we call Barry, mid-50s guy, into conspiracy theories and shit. And, we would work together. Like, we were both ushers, so, we take tickets, clean the theaters and whatever. We'd have a good time, talking about movies and shit all the time. And I would laugh at his stupid conspiracy theory bullshit. And at some point, and this was in late 2014 when he offered it, but we didn't actually get into it until March of 2015, apparently, because I was able to date this. I'll get to that partway through this. I mentioned I was having some problem with one of our computers, and I don't remember what the problem was because this was 6 fucking years ago. But he did offer free PC repair. He said, like, oh yeah, I can fix that. So we finally scheduled him. He came over and he was going to fix my parents' desktop, my sister's laptop, and my parents' laptop. And, well, fixing meant he wipes the PC clean and then reinstalled Windows. That's how he fixed it. Like, I could have done that.
It seems a bit extreme, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, for example, recently my parents' PC had another issue where the screen just kept flickering white, and like it was also like refreshing every time it blinked. So I literally couldn't do anything. I looked it up, I found a solution thing, did it, but it only made it worse somehow. So I had to like completely factory it. It actually helped it because now it's running like brand new, nice and fast. So like it worked, I guess.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, so he did that. And then like after he does one, he does my sister's, and then he says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, you can't update anymore." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like you can't update like any Windows updates? You can't do those." I'm like, "Why not?" He said, "Well, this isn't exactly legal. It's not legal." I'm like, "He's installing pirated Windows on our computers." Like,
What?
so
Was he
at that,
installing pirated Windows, or was he installing the trial?
he was it was pirated because later on, it was only a few days later, I noticed on every single computer the backgrounds would just go black, and then it would say at the bottom of the screen like you've not registered and whatever.
Oh
But
no, that's just the trial.
no, he did say it was pirated. But
Oh,
then again, um, I don't know. Like he had an installation thing and everything, but maybe he figured it was pirated because it was not being registered. But I mean, I guess that is still pirating.
not so. We're gonna go. This is gonna become the IT podcast real quick. What Microsoft does is, and they don't advertise this, but you can just install Windows for free, legitimately, and it'll just have that watermark in the bottom right corner. If you download the installation thing and put it on a flash drive from their website, that's 100% legitimate Windows that you don't have to pay for. And they're completely fine with that, because I mean, like, they get that there's so much telemetry, they get all your data anyway, so they can still profit off of that. So
Right, it's basically just until you have like a legitimate activation code that you can use everything.
yeah, it pretty much the only thing you can't do is, technically speaking, change your background, which if you just go into your file manager and right click on a photo and click set as background, it does it anyway. As long as you have really the only thing is the watermark at the bottom right that says this is please activate your Windows or whatever the hell.
That's the weird thing I don't get, because like when I built my PC recently, I installed it from a flash drive, just like you said, and I've never gotten that watermark.
It's
The only
really inconsistent, but how they used to do it back in the early days of Windows 10 was that a Windows license was tied to your motherboard. So I sold you that motherboard. I know
okay,
that
yeah,
Windows was installed on it before, so that might be what's up with that.
okay, all right, fair enough.
I should have
Anyways,
charged you extra.
wow.
Nah.
Anyways, so at that point, it was too late for me to really back out of it. Like he had already done it to two computers, and I'm just like, whatever. Like if this turns out to be fucked up, I can fix it, because like his repair, I thought he was legitimately going to fix it, not just, oh, I'm just going to wipe it. Like I could have done that. I had literally done that before. I
How
even
much did he
told
charge
him
you?
he didn't charge me anything. It was free.
Oh, what the fuck? Who does shit for free anymore?
It was a friend discount or something. I forget what he said, because like we were good buds for a while at the theater. We had fun, and he just like, I was like, do you want, when like I was talking about it and he was agreeing like to come over, I'm like, do you, like, how much do you want? He's like, no, I'll do it for free because you're my bud. I'm like, okay,
All right.
if you insist.
At least it was free.
So I figured, like, whatever. I'm just thinking in my head, like, I'll just reinstall it legitimately, if it causes problems, and we'll be fine. So the laptop my parents had was already old as shit at the time. That was a 2007 Windows Vista, and it was taking forever. So he was just like, could I take this home with me and I'll fix it, and then I'll bring it back like next time we're working together. And I asked my parents, and they're like, yeah, whatever. It's like not like we're gonna use it right now. So he took that home in his red truck. Remember that. He said it would be all set by Friday, and it was like Monday when he visited or whatever. So that Friday, I got to work. We cleaned up some theater or whatever, and I asked him like, "Hey, do you have it with you?" I figured like me must have hid it in like we had like a party room where we would keep some cleaning stuff, like if it wasn't being used, and he would like hide stuff in there as well, like his dinner or whatever, if it didn't need to be refrigerated. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot. I actually haven't even started work on it yet." And then Saturday, he forgot it again. Sunday, he forgot again. And I was just like, all right, at this point, can you just bring it back? I'll take care of it myself. Like it's already wiped essentially, so I just need to
Fine.
reinstall it.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Yes. So March 16th, 2015. I can mark this day exactly because I remember me and my sister went to go see the live action Cinderella that day. So we arrived early. I went in, and the first thing is my boss comes out. Like we had to call in advance, like, "Hey, can I see this movie?" Because you would get to see it for free. So they had to like make sure that you hadn't already seen 2 movies that week because you had a limit. So he comes out as soon as I walk in, and he knew a little bit about this whole situation. He comes up to me and he's just like, "Don't go talk to him. He's not in a good mood today." And I'm like, I kind of have to go talk to him. He's like, I'm supposed to be picking up a computer from him. He's like, all right, your funeral. I went over, talked to him. He's forgotten it again. His wife drove him to work in her car, and apparently he left it in the back seat right as he got out. So he doesn't have it. So he agrees that I can come over to his place, which is like a mile down the road from the theater, and I can pick it up. So I go at the time.
Hold up. He lives a mile down the road and he got driven to work.
He could have walked that,
Bruh.
right?
Mile
No,
is
like
stupid short.
a mile or two. It's you wouldn't have wanted to walk across this specific area. It was like he would have had to basically walk across like it wasn't a highway, but the road was basically like 6 lanes. It was yeah, it's not something you want to
6
walk
lanes.
across.
That's a highway, my friend.
Well, it wasn't actual part of the highway. It was just like off the highway. But whatever. So I go over there, and it's like a cul-de-sac area, and like there's a couple houses. They look decent enough. And then there's this one house. It doesn't even have siding on it. I shit you not. It was just like plywood.
God.
And
that's his house?
it turned out to be his house. I went
Nice.
and looked at like every house, and I'm like, okay, this is, for example, like let's say his house was number 108. I found 107 and I found 109, and that was in the middle. So I'm like, well, shit. This is where he lives, in this fucking shithole. It looks like the place looked like it was really small. And I forgot to mention, he apparently built this house with his own 2 hands. I'm like, damn, you got like 70% there and stopped. Or not even. There's a lot of junk in the yard, so like he's a hoarder. And I'm just, oh boy. He's not responding to his texts. I'm just like, hey, I'm here, and like he's not saying anything. So I'm like, I'll just go knock on the door. So I walked up. I knocked on the door. The door isn't even locked. It just like creaks open very slowly. And I'm just like, hello? Don't hear anybody. So I just ended up going home. Where's my next note here? The following weekend comes, He forgot it again. So I initially called him, and then my dad called him and got through to him. He was really fucking frustrated, but he stayed calm, and he was just like, "Hey, I want my laptop back. It's been like a week since you were supposed to bring it back to us. Just please, can you bring it back tonight?" And he's like, "Okay, I'll be there at 6 o'clock." Guess what? He doesn't show up. So about an hour, 2 hours later, me and my dad just like, we're gonna go get it because I know where he lives. Halfway to his house, we get a text from my sister asking if I had the money to repair for the laptop's repairs. And I'm like, it was free. And she says that his daughter is, at the house with the laptop, demanding the agreed upon sum of $80.
What the hell?
That's
And
cap.
I'm just like, it's free. We agreed it was free. He offered it free. So we head home to like deal with them, but by the time we got back, they had already left. And they just decided to leave the laptop. And upon booting it, this was the other thing. This is where we found out like a lie. Is he said that he had it in his wife's car, right? And like he had meant to bring it to work that Monday or whatever the fuck, and like got out of the car, and his wife drove off with it. Well, I forget the exact detail, but he had also said something about like it's been in the truck or whatever. Oh wait, no, now I remember. He had stated that like he had taken it inside. He worked on it somewhere, but didn't finish. But when I booted it up, it still was just in its state of having nothing on it. It's just, showed like a boot menu. There was nothing there. So I'm like, it was in his truck the whole fucking time. He never touched it. So it was never in his wife's car that day. He was just bullshitting me. It never moved from the truck. He took it home that day, left it in his truck for like a week and a half. Didn't do shit with it.
Sounds about
and
right.
wanted $80 for doing nothing with
Yeah,
it.
that's some shit.
So then the next day I get to work. It's like nothing ever happened. We're talking, we're having fun. And then at the end of the shift is like one of our last cleans. He taps my shoulder to get my attention. We're waiting for our movie to finish. He's like, "Hey, does your dad have like anger issues or something?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, when he called me that day, he was really, threatening and very, very angry." And I'm like,
Well, no
I
shit.
I defended my dad like, "No, he was frustrated, but he was very calm with you on that phone call. I was right there listening to him. He made it like my dad was the fucking Hulk, on the phone or something, screaming at him. And my dad was literally just like, 'Sir, I want my laptop back, please. I've been waiting a week. Can you please bring it over at 6 o'clock tonight?'" That's what my dad sounded like. But what he heard was just this monster screaming at him. So this is that's like the halfway point of this story. Well, actually, well, maybe a little more. But that's the end of like the laptop thing, basically. So after that, like he would never like talk to me that much. It was basically work only talk. Like, we would talk like, "Oh, this theater's about to drop or whatever. Like you need help with it or whatever." We would coordinate. And whenever we would have we had our theater 1, theater 5, and theater 10 were like the biggest theaters we had. Oh wait, I think 6 as well. Whatever. And we would have it packed out. Like that was like 300 plus people in one of those big ones. and you could go in, and it would split and be like two hallways, and then you could walk up to your seats. So we would station ourselves on either end, ready to start cleaning. And so many times after this whole bullshit with the computer, where he now hates me because, I dared to defend my dad, from his bullshit. He would just walk out and leave me to clean the whole fucking thing. Citing that, I had to go tear tickets up. We don't need to tear fucking tickets. People can figure out. It says on the ticket, like, Theater 5 or whatever you're supposed to go to. They can figure it out. It's just excuses, because he fucking hated my ass after that. So eventually, we moved out. And like once we knew it was like the last 2 weeks, I had finally started to plot how I was going to piss him off. So get back at him just a little bit. So what we used to do is we had 2 broom closets on either end of the theater. So we would have, brooms, mop buckets, cleaning supplies, and whatever. And on the right side of the theater, where we would go out and exit and go around to the back where the trash and recycle was, in that closet we would keep what we called the barge. It was just like this big, you might see them like even at grocery stores, they put like bags of trash in them and just load it up, and then they take that to like wherever they get rid of the trash. And the other thing we had was the people that did the overnight cleaning. They were a third-party contracted place, and they would steal our supplies, because we would have shit in there, and then the next day it would be gone until we like barely had any fucking brooms or anything. So we had to take the 2 good brooms we had left and hid them upstairs in the projection room. So I found one place and he found another. Initially we kept them together, but after this he hid his brooms elsewhere out of pure spite, which I loved. And then I hid mine elsewhere because I just didn't want him to fuck with my shit. I would hide mine. I would open up a ceiling panel and just stick my broom up there. And then I hid my dustpan like behind
This
something.
is way too much fucking drama for a movie theater.
I know. And then one day I had to clean something up there. I was Wednesday morning maintenance, so I cleaned like the projection lenses. I swept up there and everything. I had to clean something, and I fucking found where he had been hiding his shit for like the past 6 months or whatever. And I'm just like, okay. I didn't move anything because like at the time that I found it, it wasn't, we weren't in like the 2 weeks before we moved yet. But once we were, and once it came down to my final day, which my last day was a Wednesday maintenance day, I went up. I left my dustpan because like I didn't care about it. I actually took my broom. I threw out the brush on it, and I kept the handle, cleaned it off. I actually still have it somewhere as like a memento, and I'm gonna actually use it. I'm gonna put a broom on it, make use of it at some point. And then I took his broom and I took his dustpan, and I took him out, and I was pretending like I was just taking him to like go clean something. And then I walked him over to that second room, put them in the barge, and I had to collect some trash that had accumulated that morning, threw it in there, and then I just wheeled the whole thing out, like with the trash hiding that I had his brooms and stuff, just in case the manager was looking at the camera. I wheeled it out back, opened up the compactor, threw his broom and shit in there, and started it. And it was the most satisfying cracking wood sound I ever heard in my entire life.
Bitch. You petty motherfucker.
I wish I had actually been there for like another week past quitting, because I would have loved to come in and just have him look at me, and I would have just shot him a smirk, Just so it's like he knows that I did it, but he can't do anything now because I don't work there. But this gets even better because, well, it's kind of a bittersweet thing. Is early 2020, the theater shut down, probably partially due to COVID, because they probably lost a lot of business having to be shut down. And also, the owner just didn't really want to continue paying for it because they were already losing money and it was costing them too much to rent the space. So it's been shut down for like over a year now, which is sad. But then I remembered, hey, he is out of a job.
So what do you think he's doing nowadays?
He's probably doing like the same type of job elsewhere. Either that or he had, I'm not gonna say the area, but let's say the town was the region was called Clarksville or something. He basically had Clarksville Computer Guy as his personal company. And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck did you do? Just wipe people's computers and install pirated Windows and then charge them $80 for that? Like,
Bathroom
damn,
stall?
that's a fucking scam.
That
It's
is.
not even. All right, that's it for that one. So I'll let someone else go.
All right. I can do a pretty quick one. So, yeah, when I was eating lunch today, I came up with a whole list of just ideas, but none of them are going to live up to that except for the last few that I wrote down. So I guess I can just start there. So my first job, or, the first job that I really stuck with, so it was a restaurant at my local mall, and obviously I don't want to say the name because it's somewhat specific, but it's like a fast casual restaurant. So I had been working there a while, and for the most part, the employees there liked me. Management liked me. Blah 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 blah. I would fuck up every now and then. Who doesn't? But this one day, I fucked up pretty goddamn badly. Like I swear, I almost got fired for it. So it was, if you can imagine at a mall, you get, let's just say, all kinds of people that go there, And these two dudes came in, and then like I'm looking at them like they looked a little sketchy, but it's the mall, so it's like, okay, maybe they just wanted to look at the menu or some shit like that. Giving them benefit of the doubt. So trying to remember exactly what happened. So I think they were looking in the drink cooler that we had, and they wanted to buy a soda, and they gave me a $20 bill. And I imagine detail, you probably know where this is going already.
No, actually, I don't.
Oh, so
This sounds familiar, but I forget.
oh yeah, Heroicus.
I don't know this story.
Heroicus. I definitely told you back when it happened, but so the guy gave me a $20 bill, and I noticed like it looked a little strange, like it had been like I thought maybe it had just been through the washer or something. And it was at that time it was like both. Yeah, now you know where it's going. My managers were like they had so the way the dining room was set up was like there's the cash register, like there's the, I guess, the counter, if you will, for the cash registers, and then in front is like the whole dining room. It's one of those places where you order and pay at the register, and then you sit down, and then the employees just bring the food to you.
Right.
It's one of those types of places. They were seated at like a round table that was like just out of sight of what was happening. And so it's like they were in the middle of a meeting, so I was like, should I bother them or should I just let this guy go? I was like, all right, whatever. Here's your drink. And I gave him the change. But it was like, and then when one of the managers came back, it was like, I asked them like, hey, does this $20 bill look funny to you? And she just got like super fucking pissed at me. Like, this is a counterfeit. And like, she just went on this whole fucking tirade, DMing.
Blatantly counterfeit, and you're just a dumbass, or
Well,
what?
it's yeah, but in hindsight, yeah, but the thing was like I was never trained on that, and she was making it sound like you should have known this, you're too fucking innocent, blah 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 blah. Like I seriously thought she was gonna fire me for it.
Damn.
Because it didn't end there. So it was like fucking mall security was called. I think the police, mall security, whatever they were called.
Did they arrest the guys?
Yeah, so apparently, like, I guess when mall security was called, it was like,
Paul
I guess Paul Blart was there. No, I guess it was determined that these guys had like done shit like that at other stores in the mall. So I guess this was just the first time they had like actually gotten caught with it. So probably within the span of an hour or so, it was like, mall security looking for the guys, and eventually they found them, and it was like maybe about a dozen of them. I think it was like when they finally caught them, we were in the outdoor part of the mall, so that like they had them seated on a bench in the outdoor part of the mall, and they wanted me to go out there just to like confirm it was them, that they had got the right guys.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's them. But it's like, and just one of the guys looking at me just like, just like he's like ashamed of himself, or I don't know what that look was.
At least it wasn't like I'm gonna gut you look.
Yeah, but the thing is, well, so now here's the part that's making me, should I be sharing this? It's because one of my coworkers later on was saying something, like, I guess when he found out about it, he was saying something like, whenever counterfeit, maybe you can confirm this, I don't know if it's actually true, but he was saying something like, whenever counterfeit money is used in a transaction, the Department of Treasury wants to get involved. Like, it suddenly becomes a federal crime.
I mean, it is a federal currency, so
yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know shit about. I don't know shit about money laws, gun laws, sure. Constitutional shit, sure. Money laws, I don't know shit. So it wouldn't surprise me.
But like,
a buddy of mine got fucking audited by the IRS when he was 16.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, never even had a job, but he got audited by the IRS. Shit is fucking hilarious.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the feds got involved, the fucking 3-letter agency motherfuckers.
But yeah, it's like,
I don't know. Why did you get interviewed by like?
Well,
I don't even know what department that would be.
That's the thing. It's like when the whole thing like ended, it was like the same manager that was like, all pissed at me. She was like, I think it was like the next day or something like that. She was saying something about, you might get a phone call, like you might have to testify in court about this. That has yet to happen. That was back in, I think, I think it was like the very beginning of 2019. I'm not sure. Like, or like this. I'm trying to remember the date. I think it was like either literally like the end of 2018 going into like January 2019, I think. As far as I know, nothing has happened. Like, I have not gotten a call from anybody about it.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if charges were dropped or what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that they're not doing that shit anymore. That those two guys, hopefully they're hopefully they've gone straight.
No, they've gone gay on currency. All right. So I suppose it's my turn.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Let's get gruesome. I got a few stories. Most of these are short and sweet. Like everyone's like, I don't. My work experiences vary. My first job, and I'm not going to name companies here, because no hard feeling towards them. But like I've had experience where people just casually drop like hard R's and shit, and being mixed, I'm like, should I say something? Because like a lot of people can't tell that I'm mixed, that because I'm white, various whites all white people in America, they're a little bit of everything, and then black. So I'm just like, should I say something? Should I? Because like this guy is like really high up in the company, and I'm weighing between, should I stand up for myself or should I keep my job? So I'm like, I got a few of those. It's a bit weird. It's kind of fucked up, but shit happens. No, but I work in manufacturing. I'm a drafter designer, going to engineering school. I've been doing like all sorts of like computer aided, like 3D design shit, mostly in sheet metal. So what that entails is a whole ton of large machinery, very powerful shit. So at the place I worked recently, without naming anything, they've got all sorts of machinery there. And for how sheet metal works, for those that don't know what sheet metal is, it's when sheet metal comes into a factory, it's like a 6 foot wide by 12 foot long sheet, or like piece. It's like a piece of paper, but it's made of metal, and it's various thicknesses. It could be anywhere from like 0.06 of an inch thick to as much as an inch thick or greater, depending on what the application is. And that's some really heavy shit. So generally how it's processed in most factories, at least in America and probably China as well these days, is it'll come into a factory and then go immediately onto a laser or a plasma or a water cutter, which will cut a shape into the sheet of metal. And then that shape will then go further down whatever product chain, assembly line, however the factory is set up. And it'll probably go to a device or a machine called a press brake. Now, what a press brake does is it's picture a giant triangle, like a triangle, and then a mouth. The triangle goes into the mouth, and they're the same angle, so they fit together perfectly. The piece of metal goes in between them, and it pushes the two pieces come together to bend the piece of metal. A press brake. It bends it to whatever angle, whatever shape you want. To do this, like press brakes can apply up to like 20 tons of force. So you see where this is going. This sort of technology has been around for well over 100 years. OSHA exists for a reason. If you've ever read the book The Jungle, it was published in like 1905 or something. Yep. It talks about how like immigrants in America in industrial places in the late 1800s and early 1900s were exploited, and how there was like zero workplace protection. Yeah, if you've ever seen that picture of those workers, those metal workers at a construction site hanging from a beam eating lunch in New York City, like that kind of shit. That's why OSHA exists. Now, what OSHA does is it exists to protect workers in the workplace. So like what OSHA will do is they create rules that every business has to follow. So like you can't put shit in front of the fire, like the fire escape. Like the fire escape has to be clear. There's got to be like 36 inches of space, 3 feet of space in front of every electrical panel, so it can be accessed in case there's an emergency and power needs to be shut off, right? That's why OSHA exists. So a lot of people, a lot of the time, yeah. So a lot of the time, what'll happen is like there's a subreddit for this, like OSHA, r/OSHA, and you go on there and there's a bunch of people violating OSHA regulations.
Watch any Star Wars movie with like Imperial stuff, like the Death Star, or
there's no handrails. That's an OSHA violation. Like for example, if you're climbing if you're on a building, like on a construction site, the OSHA regulation is you need to have 3 points of contact at all times, both feet on the ground and one hand, or 2 hands, 1 foot while you're climbing. That's how it's supposed to be. So OSHA protections apply to the business, but if you're stupid, you don't have to follow it. You'll get yelled at by your foreman or your manager or whoever, your employer. You will be, if you don't, OSHA will not save you from yourself. So what happened with the press break is that somebody, and I don't recall if they were sober or not.
Oh boy.
Because that in manufacturing facilities happens way too often, is that people will come in not sober, which is, as you can imagine, not good.
Not good at all.
What had happened was they had put their arm through the gap of the press brake.
Oh no.
And that's 20 tons.
Well,
So somebody lost an arm?
Almost entirely lost their arm. It shattered however much was in there, but it was not a clean cutoff. So it was basically just a skin sack full of bones flopping around.
Oh
yeah. I don't know how long before I was there that this happened. This business has existed since like the 40s. I'd say at least in the last 20 years that happened.
Yeah. I did not witness it, but my dad told me something very similar happened when he was, I believe he was working at a box company, and pretty much the same thing happened. This guy's arm pretty much just got flattened, and for whatever reason, he did not want it to be amputated, so he carries around his flat as hell arm in like a little sling. I don't know. He just never wanted to have it cut off. It's not like they can just like stick a straw on there. It's not like they can stick a straw in there and just blow it back up.
Probably a pride thing or something.
I can't imagine doing that because, like, technically speaking, your nerve endings are still intact. Like a flat arm, motherfucking flat Stanley looking ass. No, I can't imagine that shit.
Imagine like he goes into a restaurant like and orders, and it's like the cashier or whoever has to look at like this fucking flat arm in a sling or something.
Yeah. Manufacturing facilities in general are, usually speaking, the number one place for genuine workplace horror stories. Because, well, manufacturing has come a long way over the past, since the Industrial Revolution. It's gotten so much safer, so much more efficient. It's incredible what we can do now, especially me being on the forefront, seeing like what I can do. I learned how to weld in like a day. I'm not good at it by any means, but shit, I learned how to safely weld in a day. And like, there's no, like, I couldn't hurt myself if I tried, really. As long as like I didn't do something like super stupid. I had like,
they got to make it dummy proof.
They give me all this safety equipment for free to make sure I don't do something stupid. And like, as long as I use that, and as long as like I keep the stuff on the table, I'm fine. Of course, it is entirely possible to do that, but like, I don't know of a lot of weld injuries. I know they are out there, but I don't know about them. But here, I got another one. This wasn't at my place. I can just go on about manufacturing horror stories. A lathe. Do you guys know what a lathe is?
Don't think so.
Pretty much.
So what a lathe is? So this isn't sheet metal. This is just general machining. So in general machining, a lot of what times will happen is you'll start with a solid like piece of material. So this could be like wood, this could be metal, this could be anything. So say you got like a block of metal, right? Machining is usually taking that giant block and removing it piece by piece. So what a mill does, I'll just stick with the lathe. How a lathe works is you have a piece of material, usually something round, so a giant tube of metal, right? And the part that removes the material, or no, sorry, the material is spinning. So you put the material into the lathe and it spins the lathe spins the material. Whereas with milling, the material stays stationary and the tool piece is what's spinning. So on a lathe, the tool piece is stationary, and except for the part where you move it towards or away from the workpiece, and the workpiece is rotating at an incredibly fast pace. Now, the workpiece is inserted into what's called a chuck. The chuck could be moving anywhere from like 600 RPM to like several thousand. It is a very heavy, very fast moving piece of metal that you do not want to touch. Anyway, some motherfucker touched it. Not only did it remove one of his fingers, but it removed his tendon connected to said finger. It ripped the tendon out from his elbow through his arm with the finger and shot that shit across the room.
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
This is like that's how fucking serious this shit is. Like, this shit could fuck you up in weirder ways than a car could. Like, a car will just crush your ass. This shit will fucking dismember you in ways you didn't even think of.
Oh my god, I'm physically cringing at that.
A lot of people, when they think about just like doing like blue collared work, we're gonna get dirty today, they're thinking, oh, you know what, I'm gonna wear my gloves. You do not wear gloves while machining, because the force and the speed at which this stuff is moving, if you wear a glove, it will not remove your finger and your tendon. It will remove your whole fucking arm or your hand. Like, that's how quick that shit moves. The friction, there's not enough time for you to get friction burn from your glove getting ripped off. It's just going to take your whole goddamn hand. So, yeah, this guy, motherfucking, of course, they brought him, they got the ambulance, they brought him to the fucking hospital. The doctor gets his fucking finger with the tendon and starts touching the end of the tendon and making his fucking finger twitch. Be like, interesting.
Was Jack Evans the fucking Yeti in that?
Yeah. No, there is a ton of shit that can go wrong at a manufacturing facility. Cause how it works at the places I've worked, we've got press brakes, we've got rollers, which are giant machines that you put a piece of metal in and it will roll it to like a 3-foot like radius. Like, that shit is intense. And then you send it down the line, it gets welded, and then you put it on the conveyor line, and it goes to the coating line. The coating line, it'll take the piece of metal hanging from the thing, it'll put it through a room that pelts it with like metal beads to sand it down almost. That alone would just destroy the human body. And then you put it, and then it goes down the line, and then it gets chemically treated to get completely cleaned. Then it goes through an oven to get heated, and then it goes through a powder coat line, which is just like dust metal painting, right? I can't explain. I don't actually know a whole lot about what powder coat is, but I know how it works. And then it goes through another oven to get cured. Like, any of that stuff along that line could just maim you, kill you in such painful ways. Like, stuff that I don't even want to think about because it's just so fucked up. And like, people talk about their workplace horror stories, but this shit doesn't even fucking compare. I've got a few more if you guys want.
Well, depends if you have time.
I got a few more minutes.
If you gotta leave, then I guess go ahead.
No, I'll rattle off a few more quick ones. I went to a trade school for high school. I'm from Connecticut. No longer live there. I live in Maine now for school. But Connecticut.
Unfortunate.
Shut up. You live in Massachusetts. Connecticut has a.
Massachusetts is superior. Shut your
It's
fucking
not.
mouth.
Shut up. Your civil engineering is dog shit, dude. My ass hair could do a better job.
I doubt it.
I could shave my ass and knit a sweater.
Connecticut has an incredible, for all the shit Connecticut gets, which is well earned, has an incredible technical high school system. So for those listening who don't know, that's like your trades. That's like we go there at like age 13, 14, freshman year of high school, and we could choose to be a drafter, like entry level engineer. You make the drawings that the engineers give you the info, you make the drawing, and that's how shit gets made. Plumbers, electricians, fucking brick and mortar shit, masonry, automotive, auto body, hairdressing, culinary, cooking, hotel management, just generalized trades, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went into the drafting trade, and I learned how to draft. So I spent 4 years doing all sorts of like intense, like 90 days of my school year were spent doing my trade, doing CAD, learning engineering and manufacturing processes, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went off to college. But how a lot of trade schools in Connecticut work is they prepare you to go right into the workforce. So like the plumbers, my brother, he's a plumber. He's a plumbing apprentice. A lot of my buddies, they're electricians. They're electrician apprentices. And so you'll go do that program, and you got to be an apprentice for like 8,000 hours or some shit before you can get like your licenses. So like this shit's the real deal. So for the drafters, at least at my school, we lived near a company called Electric Boat. Electric Boat is a subsidiary of another company, General Dynamics. That name might be more familiar. What Electric Boat does is purely military contracts. They are the company that makes almost all of the U.S. Navy's nuclear submarines. That's all they do is nuclear submarines. So while all my buddies were across the river doing drafting work and, wearing collared shirts, ties and shit, and just doing engineering work all day, across the river is the manufacturing facility where the submarines are made. Now, as you may imagine, a submarine is a fucking massive structure. It's huge because people live on that shit, and they'll be underwater for a long ass fucking time. Ton of room. Well, not a ton of room. It's really compact, but the size, they fit a ton of shit in there. Since submarines started being produced, they've gotten a lot better because that was like way early in the 1900s. And like manufacturing safety wasn't as good then. But even recently, there's a fair amount of workplace injury. There have been some deaths on the job. If I recall correctly, someone fell inside the reactor chamber and like split their head open and died or something. And like the reactor chamber was not active at the time. It's just blunt force trauma. But that's not a great way to go. All that fucking, dying and shit. I've spoken to people that work in the shipyard, and they just tell off stories about all sorts of OSHA violations and shit that they like. And it's interesting because a lot of like sometimes people like there's some people are like, this is terrible. I was a manager and I had all these people doing all this shit. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're gonna get killed and I'm gonna get in trouble. Why are you fucking putting yourself at risk like this? And you got other people that's like, yeah, dude, I was crawling around that shit without fucking glasses or a helmet on. It was fucking awesome. I hate OSHA. OSHA's for pussies. Blah 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 blah.
And then they fucking get their dick chopped off.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. Like any piece of machinery, any hand tool, you could people don't recognize this. You could severely hurt yourself with. Even as something that's just a manual screwdriver. That's a pin. You could stab someone with that. That's why the UK's got all them stupid laws. Is because you could stab someone to death with a damn screwdriver. A drill, if you don't use a drill properly, that shit can dislocate your wrist or your elbow or your shoulder if like you put it at a really high setting and it's a good screwdriver. Or shit, like a fucking angle grinder. OSHA mandates if you use an angle grinder, you gotta wear a fucking face shield because of the sparks. Because that will, one, get in your eyes, blind you. Two, could set your shit on fire. And three, if the angle grinder or disc breaks, I've seen so many videos of that shit happening lately, and the disc will lodge itself inside someone's face shield and be like a quarter of an inch from their eye.
Oh,
yes.
I like today I saw 3 separate videos of that happening, and like it's a quarter of an inch from the motherfucker's eye. The face shield caught it because that's what it's designed to do. I think it's like Z87 rated for projectile protection. Some Minecraft ass bullshit up in here. But like it's fucking terrifying what this shit can do if you are not careful. People joke about using safety squints and shit. Like, just squint your eyes, it'll be fine. But for real,
that's not going to protect your eye.
Everyone listening to this, don't fuck with that shit. Do not fuck with it.
Like, if a face shield can't barely protect it, then what good is your eyelid going to do?
So what you gotta do is you gotta squint fast enough and just catch it with your eyelid.
Like be like Rambo or something with your eye.
Yeah, no, I fuck with. I mean, like, there's some shit that I'm like, wow, that's a bit extra. Like, there's some like company rules that are a bit extra. Like, you have to label the spot for everything. I don't fuck with that. Like, that can just get annoying. Or like they want us to handle or to wear gloves whenever we're handling raw material, but at the same time, you can't wear gloves when you're handling raw material. Need a machine because it would take your hands off. So like, you have to be aware. You have to be smart when you're working one of these places. A lot of people don't give blue collar workers the credit they deserve because like this shit is fucking dangerous. Like maybe a lot of these people I work with, they don't know fucking calculus, or maybe they don't do their own tax and they use fucking TurboTax or some shit, right? But like, if you walked in there and you didn't know what you were doing, would you get injured? Probably. Don't look at a welder. That's a bad idea. You'll get weld flashed. Weld flash is fucking terrible. Don't do that shit.
Blue collar workers are just, it's like people love to give them shit, or people love to, like, particularly like soccer moms are like, make sure you go to college or you'll end up like them. It's like, well, without them, you wouldn't be enjoying a lot of the things you currently are enjoying,
Yeah, no, for real. Like what a lot of people don't realize is everything is made somehow, and believe it or not, even the robots require assistance for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
We're rapidly approaching the Armageddon of artificial intelligence, but that won't be to like what 2050 or some shit. And even then, that motherfucker's gonna need maintenance, and it probably won't be able to make robot parts for itself. So who makes the robot parts?
We do.
Exactly. So, no, be safe. Be safe in manufacturing. Do a trade. Trades pay well. You don't want to go to college? Do a trade. You like making shit? Do a trade. Carpentry. You want to build a goddamn house? I don't see a robot build. Well, I mean, 3D printed houses exist, but they suck and they're lame. Fucking loser living in a 3D printed house. Fucking plumbers. Plumbers is a good trade. HVAC systems, that shit pays well. Underwater welding, that's a legitimate career course. That shit is like six figures beyond. Like, welding is very difficult. I don't know what you guys know about manufacturing. You know that women are the best welders because their hands are naturally more steady.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're like, a lot of people look at blue collar workers and they see grizzly old men. Ladies, go learn how to weld. Not only is that shit fun as fuck,
It's like it's super soothing and it's awesome just making shit. But
And just imagine they're like welding a fucking penis, like they're just getting revenge.
yeah, not only is it super fucking fun to do, but it's also very like it's an awesome skill. You can do a lot with it outside of manufacturing. It's a talent. You can make art with welding, and it pays fucking awesome, especially if you know how to swim. Even better if you know how to dive.
One
'Cause,
thing I
like-
want to add, sorry, finish.
Go for it.
I was gonna say, like, any girls that are interested in guitar, like specifically like electric or upgrading shit with your electric guitar, like say you want different pickups, instead of paying the fucker at Guitar Center like $200 or whatever to add, they like to install them for you. Learn how to do that shit yourself. Save a few $100.
Yeah, no,
That's just one of like 1,000 examples.
The coolest thing about the female empowerment movement that has taken place over the past 100 years and is really bolstered in the past 10 is that now I have women to talk to about my hobbies, and it's not like predatory. Like,
Oh my god.
it's just normal. I can just talk to people like normal people.
That's great though, finding your crowd finally, like, common interests or
Yeah,
just
it's super weird because like for like I grew up in the 2000s. I'm 21 now. 22. I'm fucking losing my damn shit. But like we grew, you guys are a bit older than me, but we grew up with these movies where like all the fucking early 2000s stereotype movies, the girls are always like cheerleaders or some dumb shit, and the guys are all jocks and the nerds get the shit beat out of them. But like that hasn't been a thing for years. Like I played sports year round. I was a scholar athlete or some shit. But I build computers and I talked to my girlfriend about setting up networking equipment. Like the fuck?
It's
Fuck,
like
fuck your 1900 stereotypes. This is the new era, the new world order.
yeah, this is. I mean, yeah, it was
The
like
globalists!
80s movies and shit. But yeah, Hirokus, Hirokus, do you have any other stories that you wanted to share, or
I did have two more, but depends if
I
my
only
my
had
own
I
my
only had
only
a
thing
couple
is
more like fairly quick ones, so
You guys can rattle off a few more. I can say a bit later.
yeah, it's going to take a while to get through one of these at least because I don't know how much longer you can say.
Well, let's go through 6 foot then.
all right, so yeah, I'll do mine and then
I got like 10 minutes.
all right, I'll do mine and then I gotta piss, and during that time, Heroicus, you can, I guess, tell your stories.
I'm just gonna tell my stories to nobody.
Well, I'll listen back, and the viewers will be able to hear it. So,
Oh, you'll listen while you piss. Okay.
Right.
I thought you were just like I thought you were just like details gonna leave. I'm gonna leave to go piss, and you can just talk to nobody for like 5 minutes.
or
No,
we
go ahead.
okay, whatever. So these are two. Let's see. I'm just looking at my notes here. So I think these two incidents happened within, I want to say, like within a week or two of each other. So it was the fall of 29. No, not 29. Wait, no, 2018. Fall of 2018. So, okay, first one. Trying to remember what happened first. Okay, yeah. So it was during that time of the year. It was like I was mostly working either, I think I was working like doubles, like double shifts. Like I would get there in the morning, work the entire day that it was open. For those that don't know what the double means. So it's like, the morning shift would go, pretty typically, nothing amazing, nothing outstanding or weird happened usually. But it was just one dinner shift. It was like, nothing seemed out of the ordinary at the time. It was like, we would get like some older people or whatever, like soccer moms and shit. And like every now and then we'd get like disabled people come in. Like, you know, this one old lady had like she needed like a scooter to get around, and she was probably like on like she looked like the fucking crypt keeper. I kid you not. And you know, they ordered, and it's you know they probably had to have someone order for them. And you know, dinner rush. It's like we got like fucking a dozen or two other customers to deal with. But it's like I noticed she had to go like our bathroom was in the back. Like you had to go like go through a narrow hallway in the back of the restaurant to get to the bathrooms. You know, I didn't really think much of it other than like, huh, how's that old bitch gonna use the bathroom? But I think it was like 20 minutes later, I start smelling something foul, something so foul, putrid, offensive, just awful. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is that smell? And I think the customers probably smelled it too. And basically my worst nightmares were confirmed when one of the ladies went back, like she had to use the bathroom, and she was like, you might want to take a look in the women's bathroom. And we go back there. It was like me and the shift lead or something. We go back and we're just like, what we found? Do you want to guess?
I don't
I
want
have,
to know.
I have no idea.
This old lady, and of course we couldn't prove it because it was like she had fucking like just fucking with her scooter just got the fuck out of there as fast as possible. But
Incredible.
what had happened was just the biggest pile of fucking liquid animal fucking elephant shit on the floor.
Wait, hold on. Did you say elephant shit?
It might as well have been because it was like a big fat steaming fucking pile of it.
Oh my god.
Nowhere near the
Oh
toilet.
my heavens.
Exactly.
Oh, I should have started with this. Speaking of shit,
Oh no!
and I don't know if this is just the thing with manufacturing, but not even manufacturing, just engineering places, manufacturing places in general. It's probably everywhere. The place I was talking about before, Electric Boat, has an individual known, possibly multiple individuals known as the Phantom Shitter.
Oh no.
Starting in the 80s, someone started just shitting and leaving piles of shit in the stairwells in the building. Mind you, this is a government-controlled facility that like you need key cards and background, like high-level background checks to enter. And this motherfucker would just leave shit in stairwells. There were no cameras, so they never caught the dude. He disappeared for like 10 years. Well, maybe they disappeared for like 10 years. 10 years later, Phantom Shitter shows up again.
Oh.
My
Never
God.
been caught.
Wait, what
Never.
was it again? What
It's
was
like
the
the-
building? Or
Electric Boat,
oh,
General Dynamics, nuclear submarines designer, the backbone of the United States Navy, or some shit.
I bet it was Hello Burrito, like time traveling.
Yeah. One of my buddies that worked there, he said he walked into the bathroom and someone had grabbed their own shit out of the toilet and smeared it all over the walls.
oh,
And
That's
the
like
mirror.
some serial killer shit right there.
At the place I worked recently, one of my coworkers at a place he used to work, he had reached into a box and it was wet and he pulled it down and someone had just pissed inside the box and put it back on the shelf and it was just full of urine.
what?
Over the summer that I was working there during a company shutdown, someone had gone into one of the far away from like the office building, one of the far reaches of the manufacturing facility in the bathroom and taken their shit and smeared a Z like Zorro on the fucking wall.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Yeah, there's a
that is
lot of
awful.
weird shit smearing stories. Just general disgustingness.
What in the fuck?
I wanted to tell one more quick one, and then Heroicus, I guess you can finish out or something.
All right.
So, like I said, the other story I think was like a week or two later, and it was same thing. I was working a double, and and of course this happened again during the night shift, or like dinner shift, dinner rush, whatever you want to call it. Everything's going fine, nothing out of the ordinary. This mother and her, probably like 8-year-old daughter, some shit, doesn't really matter.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
it's like,
I remember this one a little bit.
oh, okay, so we'll detail. You're in for a bit of a surprise.
Oh boy.
So they go back to use the bathroom. Again, nothing really out of the ordinary there. Um, it's like, of course, someone going back to use the bathroom. You don't really pay much attention. It's like, okay, whatever. But it was like when they came back, of course, it's like they got our attention. Like, you might want to check the women's bathroom real fast. So same thing.
Oh no.
Something happened in the women's
No.
bathroom, and we go to look at it, and we can already see like water fucking coming out of the water, like out of the the bathroom. We opened the
Under
door.
the door?
Yeah, under the door.
Oh fuck.
Oh no.
Oh, I think my shift lead, or maybe he was manager. Maybe he'd gotten promoted. I forget. But point is, he went in. He was the first one to go in and see what had happened. These two fucking demons somehow, and of course they were trying to make it seem like they had nothing to do with it, and they probably left as soon as they could. But seeing as how they were the last ones in there, it's like they fucking did something, whether intentional or by accident. Somehow had, like, you know how the sinks are like sealed to the wall with, like, I don't know, sealant, or I don't know what the other materials are. They had somehow like broken it off from the wall, and the sink like crashed onto the floor, and water was spraying out like a fire hose.
Shit.
How in the fuck?
What's the weird thing is, like, when we were talking about it the next morning, it was like, I think we had established, like, you could have done push-ups on that thing. Like, I'm like 240 pounds. I could have done push-ups on that thing and it would have fucking stayed put. So I don't know how they did that.
Kids are strange creatures. They can yeah.
So it's like, so what we had to, so I guess backtracking a little bit, so the thing was still spraying water, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit more. It was like our manager, like our general manager, like I guess, if you will, the biggest boss in the restaurant. Like, he had left to go home at 5 o'clock, and it was like, you guys got this covered, right? And then, of course, this happens, and we're calling him like, yeah, the sink fell off the wall. What do we do? How do we turn the water off? So we turned the water off, but the only way to turn it off was like to turn it off to the whole restaurant, so like customers couldn't, properly get their sodas. All they would get was like the syrup from the bags.
Oh boy.
The kitchen had to basically just make do without fresh water. Customers couldn't use the bathrooms. We couldn't wash our hands, shit like that.
Damn.
And
That's
so
crazy.
and then the kitchen had to help, like, because they had squeegees for the back, like, to help clean, I guess, when they mopped or whatever, like, or like cleaned the floor, they had to use squeegees to like push the water into the drains. They had to use the squeegees, like they had to like take time out of the dinner rush to like help clean this shit up, like clean up the water. Bless their souls. And so point is, as a result, like, so I guess as the dinner rush was winding down, like all of our closing duties had gotten like delayed. But of course, people still ordered food like whether it was like online orders or call-ins or whatever, mostly online orders.
Right.
And it was like, because everything was so delayed, we couldn't like, I think it was like we couldn't make every single thing he wanted. So when the customer came in, like this guy was just like fucking just enraged. Like he was about to like, he looked like he was about to like break something at my manager. Like, all because he didn't get a soup or something like that. And a couple, like a cookie or I
No
forget,
soup
I
for
forget
you.
And it's like I said, it's. I think my manager was just trying his best to explain like what had happened and why we couldn't accommodate him for that. And I mean, I wasn't there to listen to the whole interaction because I think at that point I was like trying to mop or something. Like I had to go in the back to do like get probably the mop bucket or something. And finally the guy just took his food out and like I could tell he was just fucking pissed for like he didn't fully understand what happened. So when he's walking out, I'm like, "Have a good rest of your night, sir." And he just like flips me off as he's leaving. All right, that's all I got. Heroicus, if you want to go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just do the short one first, and then there's the other one that's. I don't think it's gonna be as long as the first story I had, but it's long enough. So okay, worst theater ever. After we moved, there was a good period where I actually couldn't get a job. We were staying with some people while we were trying to find a house, so I couldn't actually like apply for shit because I didn't have an address. Um, Technically, I could have and then just reported the address change, but like I just didn't want to deal with it because there was a lot of shit we were gonna have to do when we moved in. So once we got a house, I realized that there's a theater that's like 4 minutes away from me. It's right next to the grocery store I work at now, which is technically my fourth job. But I only consider that I've really had three, and I'll explain that in this. So I went in, I asked if there was work. They gave me a thing to apply. I filled it out, brought it back. Waited a couple days, went in and asked, like, "Hey, is any chance you've had a opportunity to review that?" And the manager was just like, I looked over it real quick. I'm really busy, so I'm sorry if I don't remember every detail." So she asked me like, what's your name, yada yada. Said you're the one you previously worked at a movie theater, and I'm like, yes. Can you start Friday? And I'm like, absolutely. And she's like, I'll see you Friday night at I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 o'clock or whatever. So I was quite happy. My sister gave me a ride home. I did not have a car at the time. And I was like, I got a fucking job. I can start doing shit, once I make a few bucks. But on the ride home, and then like for the rest of the day, I just had this sinking gut feeling, and I was just like, something's too easy about this, that I was just boom hired like that with like the person barely even remembered my application and shit. But everyone just like, you're just nervous is all. It's only your second job. Just relax, it'll be fine. Well, not to spoil anything, but my gut feeling was like 100% true. I got there that night. Started like I had to fill out some paperwork at the start, and I specifically listed I wanted to apply for the usher position because I had 2 years experience doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another kid that was also hired the same night. Take a guess what position they gave me.
Something that wasn't an usher.
Correct. They put me on concessions. They put this other kid who, based on just watching him, he had no fucking clue what the hell he was doing. It must have been like his first job. It's like, dude, if you don't know how to operate a fucking broom, yeah. So like I felt quite insulted. Like at first I was just like, okay, maybe they're just putting me on concession because that's how it goes. When I first started at the first theater, I had to do concessions like a week in. It's everybody has to do it. You have to do a little whatever you're hired for, you have to try a little bit of the other thing. Just because they want everyone to know in case they need to break someone off to go, do some usher cleaning. Because at least at that theater, like the ushers, they'd handle the cleaning of theaters. I think most theaters do that anyways, but they want you to know. So I just figured, okay, maybe they just want me to try this. But when I saw this other kid who could not fucking operate a broom being an usher, and I'm just like, I have 2 years experience and you gave this idiot the job I wanted and you put me on the thing. I specifically explained I am hard of hearing. So usher is actually really good for me to do because I don't have to really listen to people. All I really need to do is walk into a theater, check it, while it's playing, I clean it up after. And there's just, if people ask you questions, it's basically like, they're trying to find their theater. Where's the bathroom? Which way to the concession stand? Which, if you can't find that, you're hopeless. And stupid shit like that. And they might ask, like, oh, is there a post-credit scene at the end of this movie? And I'll be able to tell them, after like the first day of the movie playing. But no, they put me on concessions, and they got me set up at a register at first, and I'm just not understanding how this fucking system's working. So they pulled me off of operating it until they could further explain to me, and they just take the orders or something. And I'm like trying to listen to people in like a packed lobby. I'm trying to listen to this one guy say like, oh, I want this, this, and this. And I'm like, I cannot hear him. When you have hearing aids, you cannot filter noise. All you hear is everything. So you really have to rely on reading lips, but still, that doesn't help when, it doesn't help in every situation. So I could not understand it. So the manager comes over at this point. This is probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours in, maybe less actually. And she's just like, have you ever worked at a theater before? And I'm just...
She's asking you this?
I wanted to punch her because I'm like... And I wanted to just say, bitch, did you not fucking read my resume where it said 2 years of experience at a movie theater? But the way she said it was literally, have you even worked at one before?
Okay, she's a shitty manager and she should fucking piss herself.
Yeah, it was just really rude to ask it like that. And I'm like, yes, I've worked 2 years at a theater. I was an usher, though. I did not do concessions. I tried it for one night as required, but due to my hearing, it was very difficult to understand what people were, requesting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, instead of like, doing the smart thing and like, hey, let's get that other kid, let him try, and we'll have Tyler here go and do ushering since he's got 2 years experience of it. Instead of that, they had me pop popcorn for the next 5 fucking hours. That was it. I didn't do anything but pop popcorn. Actually, maybe it was 4 hours, but whatever, it doesn't matter. And that was so fucking depressing. It's like the popcorn didn't even smell good. And then like once the place closed up, no one else was coming in, like we started cleaning everything. And the person that's training me is like has me like disassemble one of the butter machines. And it's like it's like a heater, and then inside is like a metal canister that you pull out, and that has the butter in it. So like we get rid of that, and then I don't know if we poured it into something and then put it back in after we clean it. I don't see what the point of that would be. I think they just replace it every day. But after I get it out, it's like it's got like this burnt on butter, and I just assume like, okay, maybe it's just an old machine, because I knew the theater had been there a long time. Maybe it's an old machine and this happens every day, or over a couple days or whatever. So I'm scrubbing it. I'm trying to get this shit off, and eventually my trainer notices and like, hey, you don't have to worry about that. It's been like that for 4 months now. And I'm just like, okay. I turn over and I'm just like, oh my God. This shit's fucking burnt on, caked on butter. That's disgusting.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
So for 4 months, either
At least.
like management was so bad, they're like, yeah, don't even. So, and I take issue with that working at a restaurant. It's like, if you're a customer coming in and you want popcorn, it's like, do you want popcorn out of a machine that looks like it hasn't been cleaned in fucking months?
Yeah.
Probably not, right?
You wouldn't know as a customer because like this shit's sealed in the machine. The outside of the machine looks perfectly fine. It's the inside, but the inside is what's holding the fucking butter that's coming out and
Exactly.
going on your popcorn.
Like cleaning the outside, like a chimpanzee could do that. Like to clean the inside, it's like that's probably one of the closing tasks, right?
Yeah. Like they have to do that at closing because they have to shut the machine off and let it cool before they can even pull the thing out.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and I'm just like really disgusted at this point. It wasn't the only thing that was gross. It's at one point we had to go, I think we had to go get more ice or something. Oh wait, no. Wait, yeah, we had to get more ice for the machine or whatever the fuck. So we had to like take this thing over and go to this machine into like a closet. That this was also weird to me, is it was a closet that like had cleaning supplies and then an ice machine in it, and like they would just scoop the ice out into something else, I can't remember, and then take it back. But I'm like, there's cleaning supplies right here, right next to something that's ice. Like, you people not concerned about what happens if something tips in and it contaminates the fucking machine?
That's the thing. They're not concerned.
Yeah, I guess so. And then like at the end of all of this, I have to figure out like what's my schedule for this week. And I forget, like I had to I asked the other workers like what's the where's the schedule and whatever, and they're like, oh, you have to talk to the manager or whatever. Now the bitch manager had already left at that point. It was only this one other like assistant that was in the office, so I had to go over, knock, get her attention. Then she told me where the thing was. It was literally just on like, there's basically, it wasn't a receptionist desk, but there was a desk where the manager would sit and like watch everything, and like also like people could come up and like they could probably book birthday parties or some shit there, or just talk to the manager in general. So it was right there. It's literally, you just had to like move this thing over and you could look at the schedule. And I'm just like, okay. I took a picture of it and I walked to my car and I was just like so grossed out. I was upset. I'm not ashamed of saying it. I actually cried on the way home because it was just so depressing working in this place. And I went home, like my family saw me come in and I was just like, eyes were a little red, and I just like rushed into the bathroom and they're asking like what's going on. I relayed like the whole story. and they were just like, "What the fuck?" I took a shower. I got out, and I still smelled like this shitty popcorn smell. So I took another shower just to try to get the smell off. And that reminds me, another thing is, I got brand new shoes to work at this place, white soles.
Oh.
And when I left, my shoes were fucking yellow
Oh.
Wait. Wait.
from 6 hours of work. My shoes were fucking yellow.
Wait,
from
all
Bro,
like
that's cap. That's
That's
cap.
disgusting.
That's cap, bro. That's gotta be cap.
What
Wait,
the fuck
like
does
shit-
that mean?
Cap
Did-
means that's bullshit. If I say that's cap, that means that's bullshit.
Then say
Y'all, if you're
bullshit.
listening to this podcast, you're listening to a bunch of fucking boomers.
wait,
Shut
did
the
you
fuck
just
up.
did you just do a bong rip, by the way?
Me? No, I don't smoke.
So when you're constantly filling bags, for customers and whatever, you're going to be spilling some popcorn. Some grease is going to get on the floor. Some butter is going to get on the floor. And it's going to be a bit of greasy floor. But never at my previous theater did I ever end up with fucking yellow soles. Granted, I did wear black shoes at that theater, so maybe that helped. But still, I should not have had permanently stained shoes after one fucking night. I actually threw those shoes out that night because it was just disgusting.
Ugh.
And
Probably if you want to say trauma, I guess. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a bit of a
yeah.
strong word, but
Pretty-
just
pretty much, I thought about it a little bit, and I came out and went over to my parents, and I'm like, I know it's only been one night, but that was just so disgusting. And the staff, well, mainly the manager, was very rude. There was one other rude person that was trying to teach me something, but it's not really worth mentioning. And I just like, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm gonna go quit tomorrow, and I know that might upset you. You might not be proud of me or whatever, but I'm gonna do it. And they were just like, it's unfortunate, but yeah, we'd rather you not work there if it's that shitty. And I'm like, good. I went in the next day. I just went up to it was a completely different person that day. It was probably the only nice manager they had. And I explained, it's just, this place is not for me. I'm sorry. I know it's been one night, but I gotta quit. And she's like, it's okay. And the way she was just so nonchalant about it, I'm like, I wonder if this happens a lot. They get somebody and they're so disgusted that they quit like early on.
I like to think like people like that. It's like they know they're in a
Yeah.
I guess like they know their coworkers are shitty and they're trying to be like the one good employee. I guess that's trying to like turn things around.
Yeah, maybe. And this wasn't the end. There's not much more to it, but a week later or whatever, I went in and I was asking for my check for that one night. Went up to the same bitch manager, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm so and so. I worked here for one night like a week ago. I'm just here to, pick up my check." And she's like, "I don't remember you." And I'm like, "Really? You don't remember me? That's funny." I took my phone out. I'm like, "That's funny because I have this picture with my name on the schedule here." And she just looked at it for like a second and just like, "Oh, now I remember you." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. You were just pretending so you didn't have to pay me or some bullshit." So she gave me my check. And then after looking at this check, I realized they're only paying me for like 3 of 6 hours. So
Okay.
I went back in and I'm like, I want this corrected. And they're like, we can't do it like right away because like they don't actually make the checks. They send the information to corporate mails the checks out and so on. So like you'll have to wait another week. So I went in the following week and received that. They actually no, I think they mailed it to me or something. And they actually like gave me like an additional like 6 hours, probably to just hopefully like if we give this guy extra money, maybe he won't fucking complain. Which whatever. And then like a fucking year later, they sent me like another 3 hours pay. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not even mad, but I just don't get like I didn't
year
work.
later.
I didn't work these additional 9 hours I got paid for, but whatever.
One eternity later.
Alrighty. Detail had to go. I have one more story. Six, did you have something?
I mean, I had a list, but nothing major, so like nothing that would live up to anything else. So you go ahead and finish out.
All right. The grand finale with Hospital Hell. So technically, my third job, although I really only consider it my second because at theater I only worked one day. Hell, they didn't even have all my information. So when I started, it was the linen service for the hospital. So like, they explained like, they trained me on how to do shit. Pretty much all you have to do is you come in the morning. It's 6:30 a.m. to like 2:30 p.m. You come in, you go to a closet. It's got all these pre-made carts up with like certain amounts of different types of linen, bed sheets, pillowcases, blankets, towels, face cloths, gowns, johnnies, whatever you call them. And take those upstairs to whatever department they belong to. And you take the empty ones back, fill those up according to the par sheets on the carts, put them in the closet for the next day. And then after you take your lunch, you go collect all of the bags of soiled linen, which is not as bad as it sounds. However, being a hospital, it was mainly just the ER where I would see it, like, because they would have the trash bins right next to it. I would occasionally go in and like some areas I would go, and if I got to know where like, okay, this particular bin is always completely full, so we would just completely swap those out. The ones that weren't so full that they would average like 5 bags a day, I would just empty that out by hand and pile it in, and I would map in my head like, okay, this place has less, this place has less, and just go to those 3-4 places and fill up one bin. So there was sometimes dipshit nurses or whoever would throw bags of trash in there, and sometimes in the trash is going to be, blood from cleaning something up. So I got to see, a lot of blood, and that was great. But yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what you do. There was additional things we did, but like is basically delivering linen anyway, so whatever, doesn't matter. So just on the first day, the big thing I had happen was I believe the lunches were 30 minutes or an hour. Either way. Actually, no, we'll go with 30 minutes. So I took mine, like you punch out. You can go to the cafeteria. They actually had pretty damn good French fries and tenders. Like they didn't make them fresh. Like it was frozen stuff that they just like threw in a thing of oil or whatever, cook it up. But it was restaurant quality, so it was good. And it was like $4, and you get like 4 chicken tenders and a shitload of fries. So like it was a good deal. I at the time I was bringing my own shit, so I just ate that. Punched back in. My coworkers had left. They went to go like Applebee's or something across the street. I punched back in. Oh, they're not back yet. That's weird. I waited. 10 minutes went by. Still not back. 30 minutes went by. Still not back. And I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do. It was day one. I didn't know what the hell. Finally, at like 40 minutes later, they finally came back and like showed me how to do the rest of my shit. So I was already like, yeah, these two people must definitely bend the rules. You know, if they took an hour and 10-minute long break
Ugh.
when and the stupid thing is at the time the way we punched in wasn't like entering a code in a computer or swiping a card or something. You literally just we had a smartphone that we would use. We would connect it to our landline there, like forward the phone to that.
Mhm.
And we would also use this, like we would text to the manager, you know, Tyler in or Tyler out. That's how I would punch in and out. So they would take their 30-minute break, punch back in, and then enjoy the next 40 minutes, on the clock while they're still sitting in Applebee's. So, excellent. They're ripping off the fucking system. So, this just went on for a long time. Eventually, I got good at the job and whatever. And sometimes they wouldn't take the phone with them. They would leave it with me. Well, this is a problem when I go to collect all the soiled linen and I get a phone call like, "Oh, hey, we need this item in this department." And I have to be like, "I'm in the middle of doing the dirty laundry right now. I actually can't bring that to you just yet. You're going to need to wait 20 minutes because I can't cross-contaminate stuff like that." And they didn't like that. They wanted their stuff right away. So they would complain. And eventually the workers, the two girls I worked with, they would just take the phone with them. So what they were doing is they would answer the call and be like, "Oh yeah, we'll get that right over to you." They would text my phone and tell me to do this shit. And yeah, so that doesn't fucking help anything. It's like I still can't do it. So I tried reporting this to like the management. It's like they're not here. They're taking calls and shit. They're punched in while they're not even in the fucking building. So I had one manager who actually gave a shit about everything. However, she was under, you know, another manager, well, actually the owner of the company. And it was up to him to make all these decisions. So she would report this stuff. She would take my reports and bring it to him, and he just wouldn't do anything because he was just too busy, and didn't seem important to him because he's trying to run all this other shit. So that sucked. And this just went on. So like there's nothing I could do. I would start getting these false complaints from my coworkers that, "Oh, you didn't put enough items on this card or whatever." And I would just be like, "Okay." At first I was like, maybe I made a mistake. I'll keep an eye on that. So I started like trying to put a little bit extra. So if they needed 20 of an item, I'd put 25. They actually told me before like I could do this. So I'm like, okay, sounds good to me. Then a few weeks later, "You're putting too much. You need to put what it says." I'm like, okay. I'd put what it says. "You're not putting enough. You need to put more." I'd put extra. "You're putting too much." And like it would just go back and forth until I finally just like let the manager know. And I'm like, they're just pulling me back and forth, complaining about I'm doing too much. I'm not doing enough when I'm doing exactly what it needs or more. And she had to tell them off, but still they just kept persisting about it. But eventually it was just a thing that fell on deaf ears. I ignored it, and management pretty much ignored it because they knew they were full of shit. There's a little side story in here that this was just precious to me. And holy shit, this is going to be a long episode. We're coming up on 2 hours, actually. Holy fuck. I don't know if I'm manage to cut anything out of this. I don't think I really can cut a lot out of this, but whatever. There's like a side story here called the fart story. So for a time, I would get Kraft mac and cheese, like 5 packs or whatever, and I would make like a shitload of it. I would make like 2 boxes or so every day. I'd eat one right then and there, and then I'd box up the rest in a container and bring that to work. Well, there's a problem when you basically have 2 meals of Kraft mac and cheese every day, or any mac and cheese.
Oh.
You're gonna be farting a lot, and it's not gonna smell good. Maybe to yourself if you're into that kind of thing, but it didn't really bother me. It's like they're my own farts. I don't give a shit, literally. But it bothered them. So they were, instead of complaining to me and going, "Hey, excuse me, like, could you maybe eat something else so you're not like super gassy all the time? And when you are gassy, could you at least step out of the room and, you know, do it in the hallway where nobody's really going to smell it, because it's really bothering us." No, they escalated it by texting the CEO of the company, CEO/owner. "Can you talk to Tyler about his constant farting?" And I just imagine, because like I saw this text. I came in like the next day and saw the text, and I was just floored that they did that. And I read, like, it says like message seen. I'm like, so he's read it, but he's probably too embarrassed to say anything about it. And it was the best thing when my other manager, Kara, showed up. She asked me, "Did they really send that?" And I'm like, "Yes, they did." And we just had a whole laugh about it. It's like, you contacted the CEO of the company to complain about someone farting excessively?
I just imagine, like, you go through business, like, it's like you go to school, like, public school or whatever, and then you go to college, and then you end up in the business school, and you get your degree, and then you're like, eventually you work your way up to a CEO position, like after 10, 15, 20 years or some shit. And then you
Yeah.
get that text message.
Yeah,
Like,
and you're just
I
like,
worked my way up to get this shit. This is below
literally,
my pay grade.
literally. But yeah. To explain this last little bit, I have to go back. Eventually, we had this stupid thing where they gave an iPad, it had a special app on it, and we were supposed to count, like, oh, okay, I got this cart back, it's got 5 of this on it, and I need to put 15 more to bring it up to par. So we had to punch that in and shit. It was really stupid. It sucked. And eventually we were getting such bad shortages that we were having to build the carts first thing in the morning, deliver them, bring the empty ones back, and then strip what little was there just to try to supply shit. So the carts would have nothing. So we would send in no reports because we literally could not punch in a 0. That was a negative value on that system. And eventually they stopped doing it because they were like, well, we're not getting any data from you guys, so this is pointless. Well, much later, after it was actually a different company came in, and it was what one of them came in and said, well, you remember that old thing we had to do? They're going to start making us do that again. And I was like, well, this is where I had actually just started at the grocery store. They didn't know. And I was like, this is where I'm at enough. I initially planned I was going to stay through till like beginning of December just to have a little extra cash for Christmas. But having to do all of this shit work, and then you're going to tell me I have to fucking count this shit again? No way. I went home, I talked it over with my parents, and I'm like, I don't care what you say. I am quitting this week. I'm done. And they're like, all right. So I waited till I was going to be working Saturday and Sunday. I waited till Friday after they closed, and I called my company and said, like, I'm resigning. I've had enough of this bullshit. I'm done.
Didn't you format it like the Better Call Saul, like Kim
I
Wexler's
I
resignation?
I wish I had like that. I want to do that at some point, but like I had to call them, so I literally was just like, I'm resigning. You know, sorry to be. Well, actually, I didn't apologize about anything. I just like, I'm done. I won't be coming in tomorrow. That's it. And then I deliberately got up the next morning like I would have normally had. And oh wait, actually, the same Friday. Oh wait, no. She had come in Saturday to talk to me, and it was Sunday that I came in and I brought in all of my uniforms in a bag. I hid it in the cabinet just so they wouldn't find it. And at the end of the day, I tossed it in with the soiled stuff so it would go back, get cleaned, and whatever. And then, like I that Friday, I called, left a message, and whatever. They didn't get it until like Sunday at some point when someone came in and like found my message. So, like I said, I got up Saturday morning, same time, just like I would have been going to work. I turned my phone on, went to eat breakfast, and I want to say like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and it just buzzed like 3 times. I open it and I'm just reading. The manager is very pissed at you. Do not come in tomorrow. Uh, they will talk with you on Monday when you come in.
You can't fire me. I quit.
Yes, exactly. I didn't say anything. I wanted to, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna fucking play this game. And I wanted to say like, oh, I wasn't planning on coming in tomorrow. In fact, I wasn't planning on coming in today either because I'm done. But yeah, they called me on like Sunday, Monday, or whatever, and just like make sure you gotta turn in your badge or whatever, and whatever. And then like I had already done it at that point. And finally, it was just like sweet relief that I'm no longer there.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a hellhole. Holy shit! It's been over 2 fucking hours. This is gonna be the longest episode yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I work at a grocery store now, and it's fucking fantastic. However, there could be a potential follow-up episode of like not horror stories, but like stupid customer complaints. I think
Tales
that
from the grocery store.
yes, tales from the grocery store, which you can actually add because you have worked at one, so we can relate.
Well, for like a few weeks or something.
Yeah,
But I mean, we'll see.
yeah, but I'm sure you've had stupid complaints from people.
At my other jobs, yeah.
Yeah, so look forward to that. We'll have to get a guest host for that. Don't know who yet. Maybe Detail will come back for that one. We'll see. But yeah, I'd say that's it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Last minute guest Venom. It's returned.
Hey guys, did I miss anything?
Yes, everything. The whole episode, actually.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's been long. This is going to be really long. We've been recording for like over 2 hours.
Damn, I missed a lot. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to catch me up by every single minute.
All right, 6. Would you say we're about done?
Yeah.
All right. You can close us out, I guess.
Just a second, I'm chewing.
Take your time. It's only been 2 hours.
All right, so I guess we're done. That's work horror stories. So yeah, it was like I had prepared a whole list. I was just like I figured it's one of those things where it's like if you've ever taken a public speaking class or had to give a speech or anything like that, you just prepare so much stuff and you're like you're anticipating like you're gonna go through each thing really quickly. But then it's
Yeah.
like you only end up using a few of your bullet points throughout the whole thing because time flies. So
Yep.
pretty glad how this turned out though, and I guess those of you who have made it this far, thank you very much for watching and or listening. Because yeah, like Heroica said, this is our longest episode yet. So hopefully you were able to clean your room, take a bath, or jerk off even to this episode. So
I hope not. But,
Please do. If you jerk off, tell us in the comments.
oh my God.
all right.
But see you
That's
next
all I got.
time.
See you guys.
See ya.